Well, well, the only difference to the last patch, to the last video, is this blue cable here, this blue patch cable coming from the square wave output of this LFO down here. And what this cable does is switching on and off the signal of this mixer, which the CV output of the whole patch, which before it goes to the quantizer and the sound engine here. So, meaning generating silence from time to time, and let me show this by using, or demonstrate this by using another LFO. Let's duplicate one, so, and even another scope, duplicate one, so, square wave to the scope and to the CV input of the mixer. And then you hear that always when the square wave is at 0 level, the sound goes silent. Let me reduce the periods of silence by increasing the duty cycle. So you see it's longer, the periods of no silence, when we hear something, are longer, and the periods of silence are very, very short, only setting impulses, short emphasis to certain parts. But instead of, let me increase the periods of 0 level again, duty cycle of about 50%. But I can also modulate, switch on and off by using the square wave of LFOs, of an LFO, not only the volume, but also certain modulation paths. For example, the whole path of these 3 LFOs. So now it's at low levels only these 2 LFOs are modulating the whole thing, what we are hearing, the whole sequence, and at high levels, like before, all 2 modulation paths do so. So I can switch on and off certain building blocks of the patch of the generative music I'm going to make. But of course I can do the same not only with whole paths, but with certain single individual LFOs. Let's say this here. Okay, let me remove this extra LFO and scope, this extra LFO and scope again, because I can use, of course, any square wave output of any of these LFOs to do the same as before. Let's say, let me use this very slow running LFO, but not this, not the triangle output, but the square wave output like before, to, well, yes, to switch on and off the volume again. Let me connect the square wave output to the scope to make it better visible. Or let me use this square wave output to switch on and off the other modulation chain, this one. So this LFO switches on and off this modulation chain. Or, where is it? Here is it. Oh, sorry. Or its partner. I can switch off, on and off the partner of this LFO. And so on. Instead of switching on and off, I can, of course, modulate more, let's say, more fine-tuned by using other waveforms. let's say I want something extreme. I want this LFO here, and I want the saw wave. No, I want the sine wave to modulate the volume of the periods of sound and no sound, but not in a square manner, but in a sine manner. Or I want, let me move it again. Or I want this LFO here, this extreme, let's say, LFO with very long periods of zero level, of minus level even, and only short peaks of positive levels. And I want the sine wave to modulate, yes, this whole modulation path again. Or the last thing, I want, yes, here it is. I want this LFO to modulate this one, only this one from this patch, but not with the sine wave, but with the saw wave. And I increase its frequency a bit. And. So these were just demonstrations, just giving you some short ideas. It was not planned, not a composed way of doing what is described in the book, but just a demonstration of what is in the book. Later on in the chapter about composing, aspects of composition, I will show you how to approach these matters of switching on and off modulations, chains, and so on in a more systematic way.